in response to the reporting that we talked about, we just covered it, that went through a heated private meeting that Trump had with his cabinet officials. And of course, Elon was there, and Elon and Marco Rubio got into it because Marco Rubio, as with a lot of the other cabinet secretaries, are upset with, like we are, the utter chaos that Doge is bringing. Now, in their case, they agree probably with a lot of the ideology, unlike us, but they're annoyed that they're the ones who are having their power stripped away because Elon's kind of naming himself the secretary of everything. And so Marco Rubio got into that clash. Again, we already discussed it, but Trump, when he was most recently in front of reporters at a signing of an executive order to create a task force to prepare for the FIFA World Cup that's happening in the United States in 2026. And Trump was not happy with people bringing up this contentious meeting, a little bit of inter-administration civil war type stuff going on. And at first, he just waves it off, and then he ultimately snaps at the reporter.
Yes. Mr. President, since you last spoke about it yesterday, some details have come out about your cabinet meeting with Elon Musk and some clashes eventually between Secretary Rubio and Secretary...
No clash. I was there. You're just a troublemaker. And you're not supposed to be asking that question because we're talking about the World Cup.
Yeah, well, normally you like answering questions about everything during these press gaggles. You sign an executive order and then you sit there for like 30 minutes just going back and forth and spewing on and on about who knows what. But then he said enough with that question.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, as always, if you're not subscribed, please make sure you click the subscribe button below.
On the cabinet meeting, sir, just on the cabinet meeting, you said Musk will play an advisory role. Doge will play...
We're talking about FIFA. Thank you very
About
much.
the World Cup, Mr. President, you're having...
And they're both great guys. And by the way, they both get along fantastically well. Marco has done unbelievably as Secretary of State. And Elon is a very unique guy who's done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Enough. It's
Enough, he says.
fantastic job.
Do you think he needs to be reined in, Mr. President?
Enough. It's FIFA.
It's FIFA. I think we all imagine sort of what do people say when we're not in the room, right? How do people speak about us? I've wondered before, what does producer Jaden say about me when he's asked about me and I'm not there? And one thing I don't want to hear through the grapevine is that when Jaden gets asked about me, his response is, he's a unique guy. Anything else? No, he's unique, but everything's fine. Okay, enough. And then if you'll throw that back up on screen, you can tell, I guess this is the FIFA someone. We're doing FIFA. Here's FIFA. This is FIFA. And he seems very uncomfortable being in the middle of this. But again, the reporters can only imagine that Trump would want to be asked questions because every time he does any event, he takes as an opportunity to spout on about how Russia's doing great and everything's great. And we'll get to the Russia presser a little bit later. Before getting to a Trump gaffe that was a little awkward, here is Harry Enton, one of our favorites, reporting on a couple interesting data points. One is that Americans are increasingly associating chaos with Trump. And number two is that the markets, businesses, the economy are not friends of the type of chaos that Trump is implementing.
Google searches for Trump and chaos. Look at this number. Up 320% this term's average week versus the first term. This 46-day stretch that the Trump presidency has gone on has the most number of searches for Trump and chaos on record. The American people are seeing this. They think that Donald Trump is like Butters in South Park. He is Professor Chaos. That is what is going on. The American people at this particular point are going, what is happening here? They are seeing Trump and they are associating him.
Jaden, what'd you just say in my ear? By the way, Jaden has a little camera debacle, so he's upside down.
Harry Enton's the kind of guy you want to marry your daughter. He's the kind of guy you want to ask your daughter to prom.
Yeah, he's a good guy is what we're saying, I guess.
With the word chaos.
In the markets, if there's one thing that stock markets investors don't like, what is that?
Yeah, they do not like uncertainty. They don't like chaos. How about trade policy uncertainty index? This dates back all the way since 1960. We are dealing with a record high. Get this, up 651% versus a year ago. One day Trump seems to be for tariffs, the next day he doesn't. One day he seems like he's backing off tariffs, then he's threatening to do it a month from now. What we're seeing is chaos play out in this trade uncertainty. That is playing out in the stock market as well. Traders, investors, Americans are channeling their inner Vince Lombardi saying, what the hell is going on out there?
I genuinely think these are the type of figures that you need more presently on outlets like CNN to help them with their ratings issues, because he delivers very nicely data. He gives factual information. It's not cutting corners to be entertaining, but he also brings an energy that I really do appreciate. So the context for the next clip on Trump's gaffe is this: Trump signs executive order to establish government Bitcoin reserve. He's really leaning into the crypto, the Bitcoin. President Donald Trump signed an executive order Thursday establishing a government reserve of Bitcoin, a key marker in the cryptocurrency's journey towards possible mainstream acceptance. And while he was talking about this, he tried to refer to the Biden administration being bad and instead said this.
Institutional finance. Under the Bitcoin administration, regulators strong-arm banks. I mean, they really did. They strong-arm banks into...
So if you missed it, he called the Biden administration the Bitcoin administration.
Under the Bitcoin administration, regulators strong-arm banks. I mean, they really did. They strong-arm banks into closing the accounts of crypto businesses and entrepreneurs, effectively blocking some money transfers to and from exchange.
I've noticed I've started picking up on some of his body movements, blocking. He kind of blocking, and I've been doing that with my body more while I'm talking. And so they're the Bitcoin administration. They call it Sleepy Bitcoin. They call it Crooked Bitcoin. Joe Bitcoin, worst president in the history of the country. Yeah, so getting a little confused there. But he has Bitcoin on the brain, Biden, Bitcoin, and then he's going on to fearmonger about what it is that Joe Biden did. Then look at Trump's Commerce Secretary on CNBC. This is Howie Lutnick. And this is the gentleman who seems wildly enamored and in love with Donald Trump. Every time he's at an event, he's smiling too much. I love smiling. I'm a big smiler. But he's a little too happy around Trump. And here he is shot out of a cannon and tries to explain the coherence that is not there to Trump's tariff approach.
Do you think by moving everything back as you describe it that they're going to be able to be competitive globally? Aren't prices ultimately going to actually have to rise?
I think if you want to buy things from other countries and you want to bring it into America.
Watch. So he's kind of talking normally. Watch how quickly it goes from NyQuil to Red Bull. It just boom.
Then the price is going to rise. But if you make it here, then of course the price won't rise. So make it here.
Wow. What's happening? It's a shift on a dime.
If you want to buy things from other countries and you want to bring it into America, then the price is going to rise. But if you make it here, then of course the price won't rise. So make it here.
If you buy things from other countries, then yeah, the price is going to rise. But if you make it
here. How hard is that to say? You know, just keep repeating it to yourself. There's no tariff if you make it here. So TSMC, the biggest chip manufacturer, says, okay, I'll make it here. You're going to watch everybody come to that realization. Apple, who builds it all in China. Why are they building it all in China and giving us our iPhone? Why don't they make it here? You know,
well,
they used to say we don't have...
It's cheaper. One answer, Mr. Secretary, is that wages are lower over there.
And now There are robots who can do it. You're going to see robotic production of iPhones.
Okay, and that's what? That's the opposite of what you're supposed to say. You're not supposed to admit the job. And then he goes on, because I saw the whole clip. He goes on to say, but it'll be good robots because it'll make a lot of jobs because people will work on the robots. But actually, let's listen to the rest of it, because he's really struggling. Because of course, the United States, it consumes, we are the wealthiest country, and I wish we did a better job of, through tax policy, delivering that wealth more thoughtfully, correctly, and fairly. But we are the wealthiest country, and we consume so much that we don't have the logistical capacity. We don't have the manpower to produce everything that we consume. And so because of that, we end up, and for price reasons, having global supply chains. The global trade that we've seen is a big part of much of the prosperity. That doesn't mean you don't implement protections for industries in the United States. That sometimes means it has to be more expensive, but we think that's a worthwhile trade-off. There are those absolute approaches that have been done correctly. Across the board, starting trade wars on all products with your three biggest trading partners in a way that is, number one, so chaotic, number two, so confusing, and number three, doesn't actually lay out a path towards a viable solution, because again, it's logistically impossible to get to where Trump acts like we could get to, but all that's going to happen in the meantime is things are more pricey. But he says, no, it's not going to be more pricey because we'll make it here. Yes, but making it here will be more pricey. Okay, well, the robots will do it. Well, then how does that help American jobs, Howie?
And the jobs that are going to be created, people who build those factories, the mechanics who work on those robots, these jobs are going to be millions and millions of those jobs. These are great, high-paying jobs, and you don't need a college education to do it. This is the recreation of tradecraft.
Yeah, okay, Howard. I also have an interesting new idea. I'm working on a new workout plan where every day I do nothing, and then I get really buff by doing nothing, and I eat whatever I want, and I get really ripped and shredded. What's another word? And yoked. And I am perfectly fit forever, and I eat whatever I want. And yeah, it's fun to talk about Fantasyland, but that's not a real solution. Robots are going to make it cheaper, but there's going to be high-paying jobs to the tune of millions managing the robots, which won't be increasing the cost of the product. And you're not going to need a college degree to be a robot engineer. That's awesome. Not real, but awesome. I guess I kind of got amped up too. He amped me up. That's why I'm yelling. And if we could just make it here, then we'd be fine. Oh, Howard. We're going to have fun with Howard. He's a new character. Share your thoughts in the comments.